Start recording. Okay, and here we are officially starting. All right, welcome to our very first live in this new rebranded group, the Relationship Arena. This is where I get to talk about my favorite topic, which is all things relationships, and everything that impacts it. So everything from dating and long-term relationships, stuff that comes up in couple sessions, but also all those things in our world that impact that partnership or moresome that we have with people. And Caroline is a lovely friend of my Facebook group. So welcome, Caroline.
Good morning.
And Caroline is what I like to call the queen of decluttering and organizing. And you might be thinking, well, where does that fit in? But it has a huge impact, as we're going to find out, because the material stuff that you have around you, the things that you bring into your life, the fact that often families end up having to blend households and all of that has a real impact on relationships. But first of all, Caroline, tell everybody a little bit about actually what you do properly so they understand it rather than my rambling.
You did a very good ramble there.
Thanks so much.
Exactly. So I work with my clients on a one-to-one basis, and it can be for a multitude of different reasons, different life stages, different reasons for coming to me. So it can be people are mainly just overwhelmed with the amount of stuff they have. And that could be partly because physically they can't move it themselves. Maybe if I've got an older client or someone with mobility issues, they just can't physically move everything around and get it out of the house. So obviously I can help there. And obviously sometimes it's more emotional and they just get to a point where they can't make a decision, because everything you throw away or choose to keep is a decision. And
yes.
That's after decision after decision. And it's a lot. And I know, I think it was Anne put on Facebook, we make about 35,000 decisions every day, which is a lot.
That's it's a lot.
General life. But when you've got a house full of items, every item is a decision. Whether you're using it or not, it's always on your mind. So it can be quite overwhelming for people. They just don't know where to start. If they haven't really decluttered before, it can be they're nervous to get rid of items. Will they need it again? Will someone look badly because they threw away a present maybe? Like I said, will they need it again? Will a member of the family, that was mine, I shouldn't have thrown it away. Lots of reasons why people can choose not to let go. And I will work with my clients. So obviously I work one-on-one, and I would never throw away. I never throw away anything they don't want me to anyway, but I would never throw away someone else's stuff. So if it is a couple, and I have had this all the way through, basically, if it's a couple and it's his and hers, and it's the lady I'm working with, we'll never throw away anything of his, because it's just so detrimental.
Does that happen? So does that come up where one partner's like, I'm fed up of those magazines, I'm fed up of that whatever the other person's collecting, or that chair's ugly, can we get rid of it?
It can, but I have to say, if it's not yours to get rid of, don't get rid of it, because it will cause more problems down the line.
Right.
Something, especially if it's a blended family or whatever, sometimes you've just got to learn your balance. So you've got to think, do you know what? I don't really like whatever it is, but do you know what? My partner loves it.
Yes.
And what would you think if the boot was on the other foot? So if I love something and they hated it and they threw it away, how would I feel? I'd feel really upset. I'd feel betrayed. And then you think, I don't want to. It just puts a horrible slant on it, really. So it's something to work through. So obviously, if we're working in an area and the partner's items are in there, you basically put them to one side and say that's for them to go through later, with or without me. If it's a no, I'm definitely keeping it. You have to then work with your clients to find a way around how do you store these items. Maybe they're not front and center, but they have still got them. And also,
let's dive into this a bit more. So my example always is, so myself and hubby, Most people know I am not a minimalist at all, and I'm not a matchy person. You can put this. So I'm in my dining room today. Okay, I've actually cleared off a bit of the mantelpiece behind because it was full of photographs and stuff. So for me, I like a bit. I have a certain theme, but everything is in an emotional attachment. You know, so stuff the children have made, stuff I've inherited, stuff that's been bought for me. It doesn't matter if it goes or not. You know, if it's one of those categories, it's very hard for me to part. So as a lady who's now, you know, in her half century, I have a lot of stuff. Okay. Interestingly, my girls are the same as my hubby, even though they're not actually, you know, related. In as much as they have almost no sentimental attachment to things. And I always joke that when I go, they're just going to get a skip, and all this stuff that I've collected, that it literally would look so different if I wasn't in the picture. So, you know, I know for couples, especially when they're bringing a household together, so you've had your house how you want it, and you've got to now merge it. This can be tricky, can't you? So how do you help them
And
approach that?
yeah, it can. So you take the easy bits first. So the practical items. So are there two microwaves? You don't need two microwaves, two toasters,
Right.
two this. The practical, so go through that first. That hasn't got the emotional attachment usually. A bookcase maybe, unless it's an antique one. So
Oh my
look
God,
at,
I'm very attached to my bookcase.
so in that case, but that would be the one which stays. So if someone wasn't attached there, that one which goes. So you do have to look at each item and go, has someone got an attachment? If the other one hasn't, and it fits brilliantly, use that one. So it's when you come down to things like ornaments and photos and personal items, that's a harder bit. So it's just working with a couple to get an overall idea of what they want the room to look like. Now, to be honest, it's never going to work exactly if someone wants it minimal and someone wants it more maximalist, because that's just never going to quite
Yeah.
happen. It's very difficult in those situations. But you have to try and find that balance between have some photos up, but not every single photo. And then it's obviously just a case of trying to find either elsewhere in the home or somewhere where those other photos can be stored so they can still be viewed easily.
Mm-hmm.
That is maybe a digital photo frame or a book even, or an album if they're obviously printed, where it's still accessible for the person who holds those memories, but they're not front and center in the living room maybe. So it is really difficult, and it's just taking the time. It's not a I'm there, let's do it in one hit, there you go, done.
Mm.
Excuse me.
It's all right.
Might be excuse me, much more of a over time. Because once you first moved in together, everything is new, everything is mixed together and not quite sure what goes where. And sometimes you have to
Mm.
a while, and then you're like, oh, okay, move that here, there. So it's not a one time straight away, that is it. It's a very much more of a process.
Yeah.
More, I suppose for you, obviously, you'll the couples will merge together and bed down as in their relationship, pretty much the same in their homes. So they'll get used to their new home,
Mm.
the other person's choices of ornaments and bits and pieces, and it's not always straight away. Sometimes it will take months or even years. Sometimes, but oh, okay, settle yourself in, go through it. It's not something you might want to necessarily look at within the first few months of moving in together. Right, okay, let's declutter all this stuff, because it's, although it's all brand new and very exciting, sometimes you just need that period of time to go, let's get used to it. Let's see how we live together, where we put things, how it works for the couple and any children.
I,
See,
I I really like that analogy that like the house is bedding in alongside the relationship. It takes time for you to find your routine, find how comfortable you are, who uses the bathroom when, how long they take, all of these things. But I want to talk a bit about this emotional attachment, because at the other end of the scale, so this is kind of, it's tricky, but you're in a nice phase of your relationship, so it can be frustrating trying to merge the households, and they might have stuff you really don't like. I often see couples at the other end, and objects are used as weapons, not in the physical sense, but in the now we're separating, you know, I got rid of his or I sold hers. So people get really emotionally attached to objects. So what, let's talk a bit about why that is.
Absolutely, because they hold those memories um, of what you were doing and who you were at the time when you purchased them.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring up a lot of history. Was that a present from a previous relationship? Was it bought in a previous marriage? Was it
Oh,
bought?
that's a tricky one, isn't it? Mm,
Sometimes people will move on, and but it really is something they need to really think about and to work on. It's like I said, I never tell anyone to get rid of anything. It's always my clients' decisions, so that all I can do is question them and ask them, why are you keeping that? And sometimes just them thinking, oh yeah, actually, why am I keeping it? They'll answer that question themselves. It's not for me to tell.
hmm
Well, no, an ex-boyfriend bought you that. What on earth are you keeping it for? Now you've got a new relationship. That's not for me to tell them. It's
mm.
sort of work it out themselves, really, because that's how they learn to make a decision.
Yeah, and it's very much like coaching, isn't it? So you're kind of there as the facilitator, but what you're really hoping is that they will get to the point with these objects or these behaviors that can be very difficult. And I know it, you know, another area that's really difficult is when someone's lost a loved one and lost, you know, and let's talk about partners, you
Yeah,
know, there's this kind of you know I hear from two sides. There's the person who just feels the need to clear everything out, and the rest of the family can be quite distressed by
yeah,
that, but it's their way of dealing. And then there's the person who can't even throw out the pack of polos that were half eaten because they are attached to the
yeah,
person.
yeah. So again,
Yeah.
I've worked with a few ladies who've been bereaved actually, and they are all at different stages.
Mm.
I've worked with and do you know what? There's no right or wrong. So I've
No.
got ladies who maybe bereaved five more years, and they're still not ready to let go of a lot of stuff. And you know what? That is absolutely fine because they hold treasured memories, and they will always hold those memories. And at the moment, they're not ready to let go. And if I
Right.
put them, said, "Oh no, you don't use it, you don't," and they were like, "Oh, okay, then I'll let," and then 5 minutes later, they're like, "Oh, I wish I hadn't. That's awful. I would hate to do that. I would never do that to somebody." Um, so you've got to be really respectful.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yes.
like our clients, 5+ years they've been bereaved, aren't quite ready to let go. They've let go of some items, but there's still bits like maybe in a few more years I will be ready. At the moment, I'm not. And I've had other clients who, within a few months, have made a really good, a positive start to get rid of stuff that actually they don't. And to be honest, most of that stuff has been the more practical things rather than emotional items. And they're ready much sooner, but everybody's different. So I've got a client at the moment, and her husband, bless her, she does use the H word, the hoarder word, and it did have a lot of stuff. But so she has as well. So I'm working with her at the moment, and she's making some great decisions
Mm.
um, on what she's letting go. We've got lots of stuff to go to charity because she was an artist, and we've got lots of paints and all sorts to go to
Mm.
charity. And her husband was into lots of different things, and a lot of the stuff she's like, yeah, I'm happy to let go of that, but anything family related, obviously personal. So we found some real crackers. We found their wedding playlist on the
Oh.
and the written playlist. So she's
hmm
so pleased. She knew that she had them. She wasn't quite sure where they were. So the fact that she's found them, that's straight to the memory box. So we found some, which is lovely. So you find
Yeah.
those items alongside stuff like, what on earth do you keep paperwork going back decades, really? That's
Right.
she's got,
Yes.
there's no emotional attachment to that. There's no reason to keep it for practical reasons. It's just paperwork, and he did keep everything in envelopes still with all the,
Mhm.
which is hilarious. And do you know what? She's working through it, and we're laughing about it. What the hell did he keep that for? Because you've got to look on the bright side of that. And she misses him terribly, obviously, but she's working through it and making really good decisions. And she needs to make those decisions to go forward as well. It's not for me to make the decision.
And so, you know, what's coming to mind is when I'm working with clients and they're not in a great space, we used to talk about compromise, but compromise actually feels a bit like one person's giving up something so the other person can get it. And so it's nicer to talk about making a mutual agreement, because if you're doing something and you're agreeing, regardless of what each of you individually would have liked, if you're agreeing to do this, that feels more equal. So when you are either blending a house or somebody's attached to something that you really, it's really giving you the ick, it's about, don't think about it as compromising, think about it as making an agreement. And it's almost as if you say, well, I don't love that object, but I love the person. And
Right.
those objects, they are part of our identity, aren't they? They're, how we live is kind of a big part of who we are. So if you are looking to make a life with somebody, yes, they might come with children from a previous marriage, the dog, the cat, this, that, but they also come with stuff. And you have to kind of take that into account, don't you? That's them.
That's them. Yeah, it's not them separate to their stuff. It's together.
Yes, yes.
And same as for it's them and their stuff. So on both sides, they've got them and their stuff, which are both merged
Right.
together. A lot merged together. And it's very easy to say, well, I'm for one person to think, oh, it's my decision. Historically, a lot of the time, the homemaking was done by the wife.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's what I want in the house. It's like, but no, but you both live there, and you've got to really look at
Mm-hmm.
both live there. You both use those spaces differently. And like I said earlier on about the bathroom, so if you blend a family, if you've got more than one bathroom, who uses what bathroom? That's where you keep your stuff. You don't need, so if you've got kids and they use one bathroom, leave that to the kids. Don't then
Yes.
put all of your stuff in there because you're not using that bathroom. Keeps your own space in that sense. So to give the kids some space as well. So
Yeah,
you're not,
don't try and keep that all beautiful with your shells and your knickknacks and this, that, and the other, like say, right, okay, what's this room being used for? Yeah, yeah.
very well having a lovely Instagram perfect room where you can put a pretty picture on, but actually that's not reality. And a lot of people on Instagram and social media, they show the pretty bits. They don't show the yucky bits.
No.
There will be yucky bits, I can guarantee it. But they don't show it and then people think, oh, my home has to look like that with whichever aesthetic they like. It has to. It doesn't.
So this is kind of not so much about, this is about how you keep your house. It's just come to mind. One of the biggest issues that comes up once couples are having a bit of a struggle, let's put it that way, they've had a rupture, it's always the little things that then start to niggle. So it will be how one person doesn't put stuff in the wash basket, how one person feels that they have the bigger share of the household duties, and it's often about getting them to see that, again, whilst we're different with our stuff, we're also different in what's a priority
Of
for
course, yeah,
us.
yeah,
So I think, finding ways of saying, right, well, this is the home we live in, how can we make an agreement? Because you can't have an Instagrammable house all the time, and there's always going to be one partner that's less bothered about that than
exactly.
another. So what are your kind of top tips for keeping on top of, keeping things sort of like usable, functional, looking tidy in it, but it's a working
The
house.
working house. So don't get hung up about what other people's houses look like. It's your home, absolutely your home, as in your family's home. Whether that's two people, one person, two people, five people, six, who doesn't matter. It's your home, and it's a home to live in. It's not a show home.
Yes.
Not to be. It's not there to. It's not a business. Some people's houses, obviously, yes, it's their business, as it were. Um, but it's not your business. It's your home, and everyone has a say in that home.
Yes.
You and your partner, the kids, you all have a say in it because you all live in it, and you all need to feel comfortable in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've got minimal stuff or a lot of stuff. It's not. There's no issue with having lots of stuff. That isn't a problem at all. It only becomes a problem when the stuff becomes clutter because it's unused. And
Right.
it doesn't matter. Your shelves can be absolutely crammed with knickknacks. If that's your thing, yeah. Do you know what? If you love them, that's there's no one can say that's wrong. It's not wrong. It's your home, and if
Yeah.
you feel comfortable in your home, absolutely. Now there is the issue that obviously if you've got lots of ornaments, they will take lots of dusting. But if you love those ornaments, you will take the time out to do that.
Right.
It comes when, oh, got to dust it again. Ugh, because actually you don't love them that much. You don't really.
Or you expect you have, this often happens, you have something that you love, but you don't take care of it. You kind of expect the other person to take
Well,
care of it.
yeah, 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 absolutely. So you've got to. It's that thing like dividing household tasks up between both of you. So one of you
Yes.
doesn't feel like they're always left doing the hoovering, the dusting, the washing up, whatever it might be. Is having that um, balanced. Yes, if one person works more hours than the other, then maybe the household chores are up and
Yeah.
exactly equal because maybe you're there at home more. But also there's childcare maybe to consider. But it's finding that balance. So if so, and then it is accepting your partner's items. So if something which needs dusting and it's not your item as it were, it's the partner's, but you've got to look at it and go, actually, my partner loves that. So I might,
Right.
but my
Right.
partner does. So I want to respect that item for my
Yeah.
partner's
Yeah.
sake. Mine, but because we're a family, I respect them. So my husband's got a couple of things in our living room. One particularly I don't particularly like, but he loves it. And you know what? It's his. I would never throw it out. I'll still look after it because it's his and he
It's
really.
his. Yeah.
Do I choose to have it? Not particularly, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that I love that he'd be like, "No, I wouldn't be bothered." But because we're a couple, you have to respect each other's items. So
This is so important. This is the agreement, right? This is not, you're not compromising. You're not, you don't feel like you're giving something up. You're agreeing that because it's important to him, you're going to love it and respect it, and because it's his. And I think this is where a lot of couples find tension, because they're trying to they're trying to control the environment based on what they want. And
yes,
actually, when you are a couple or more, we're in a modern world now, so it's not just couples, when you're choosing to live in the same environment as somebody else, there's got to be this give and take, hasn't there? You can't control
no,
everything.
not at all. Like I said, it's not just your home; it's other people's homes.
Yes.
And they've
Yes.
always got your home should be a sanctuary. It's where you feel comfortable, where you feel safe. And that's every person in that home, not just one person. And people should, I often see people say, "Oh my goodness, I've just cleaned the kitchen floor. My husband walked through it." Well, yes, they've gone to make a cup of tea. Someone shouldn't feel bad because they've walked into a kitchen and made a mess because they live there.
They live there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they can clean it up after themselves, but don't, it's that old, you can't put that there because that should, if they want something, it's much their home as the other person's. And like I said, it's that making a decision between you to own something. There'll always be items which are particularly one person's because maybe it's from childhood or whatever.
Yeah.
Other things you've made a decision jointly to own something and bring it into your home.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, everyone should feel safe in their home and comfortable and relaxed. And having that, oh, I daren't sit down because I might mess the cushions up. That's not a very nice way to live. Okay,
Although I just say we have just had new sofas, and I was very clear with my son, who's at that age where boys are just messy. I was like, you are now a beanbag person. You sit on the beanbag, you can just hover over my sofa.
different though, especially when it's brand new. And eventually, you're like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's when it's been brand new, you don't want to break it or damage it in any way, but they still want to feel safe in that home and relaxed. So
So I think that's a lovely place for us to finish. We could always talk forever. I'm always fascinated. And I know Caroline will come back in the future and talk to us more. But I hope that everyone can see now how objects and things and organizing and decluttering and accepting, this is all, all of this is linked. to relationships. You are your stuff. You know, we talk about people bringing baggage into a relationship. Well, this is your literal baggage that you and your partner are bringing. So we're going to be bringing this wonderful first live interview in the relationship arena to a close. Thank you. I've had a few ladies saying good morning. So good morning, Emily. Good morning, Anne. I just want to call you out. Please feel free to pop questions in. We sometimes don't see the comments when we're actually in the live video, so we'll go back and look at those. You will also find Caroline's contact details in the comments. That's the same if you're catching up with this on the YouTube channel, The Relationship Arena. There will be all of Caroline's details there, so you can get in touch if you want to find out even more about the queen of decluttering, Caroline Major. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stop the recording now.